Guys. So we're gonna go ahead and kick things off now. If you are looking at me and you're like, who the heck is this guy? I thought I was here for Peter. I know some of you are here for my audience, but it's great to have you here. My name is Jason Moss. I am also a business coach like Peter, but I work with established entrepreneurs and help them scale and grow their businesses past six figures. And the reason we're doing this workshop is because over the past 6 months or so, one of the things I've been trying to figure out in my business is how can I find a partner who is one of the best in the world at helping new coaches launch their businesses so that we can send all of these amazing, incredible coaches off to someone who is really equipped to be able to serve them as my business moves in a different direction. And it took me a long time to find someone who I truly trust, who is doing incredible world-class work with coaches, who I feel comfortable sending my best clients, leads, opportunities his way. And Peter is such an incredible coach, has so much to offer for new coaches in terms of helping them launch. He's literally helped thousands of them over the years. He's a successful coach himself, founder of the Fearless Coach Academy, where he specifically works with newer coaches and helping them grow and launch their businesses. So today, Peter's going to dive into that in detail. Super valuable training. Everything you need to know to launch your business, start signing your first clients, and get on track to six figures. So Peter, super excited to have you here. Welcome aboard, and I will go ahead and pass things off to you.
Jason, thank you, brother, so much. I really, really feel honored that you had the idea of having me teach this webinar to many of your students, and some of mine are here as well, which is really, really exciting. So I love hearing from every single one of you all over the world in the different niches that you serve and the different problems that you help your clients solve. So I'm really excited to give you some tangible, real things that you can implement, strategies that you can implement today to launch your business if you're just starting, or grow it to six figures and beyond if you're already working with paying clients. Geronimo, yes, this will be recorded, so I'll make sure to share the recording with you afterwards. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen so that you all can see this. Just give me a yes in the chat if you can see the slides. The title of today's training is the six-figure coach roadmap. And so my goal is to give you a step-by-step guide to growing your coaching business, launching it, growing it, and getting clients. As Jason shared, I want to just introduce myself for a moment, give you a little bit of background. As Jason shared, I am Peter Scott. I'm the founder of Fearless Coach Academy, and I have been mentoring coaches for a long time now, over 10 years, which makes me feel a little bit old when I say that out loud, but I've been working with thousands of coaches to start their coaching business and scale it to six figures and beyond. And I actually didn't start doing that. I started my career in investment banking and private equity, of all things. Is anyone here, just by a show of hands, have a background in corporate or a background in finance at all? For me, I learned a lot about business. I made some good money, but I wasn't passionate about what I was doing, which led me to coaching. And for those of you that have chosen this path to grow a coaching business, there's nothing, in my opinion, that's more impactful and more fulfilling than facilitating transformation in people's lives. Whether you're a life coach, a business coach, a health coach, a relationship coach, there's a ripple effect that we create as coaches that is just unbelievable and incredibly fulfilling. And when you build your business the right way, you can also be very successful doing it and have a lot of freedom. I actually started, just really quickly, before I was coaching coaches, I started and built a mindset and peak performance coaching business. So I used to do these retreats and these experiences where I'd take entrepreneurs and executives great white shark diving, surfing, hang gliding, basically experiences that help them break through their fears. I wrote a book about 10 years ago called The Fearless Mindset. It became a #1 Amazon bestseller. And I really think it's important to talk about that today, because that is one of the biggest things that holds coaches back is fear of failure, is fear of judgment, is fear of not being enough. Have any of you ever experienced, just by a show of hands, fear, like imposter syndrome? Is anyone else here? Yep, Johan's hands up. Thank you, my friend. It's something that everyone, Colleen said yes, yeah, totally. So every one of us experienced that. And it's really important to not only get the strategy, and the strategic order for what to do, but also to develop the mindset to take action and do things that are unfamiliar, whether it's building funnels or creating social media content or making offers to people, right? There's all sorts of resistance that we often experience as coaches that we get to work through. I think there's no greater type of business to build in terms of a personal growth journey than a coaching business because we're the product. We're the face of it, right? So all of our stuff comes up. So, what are some of the common challenges? The common challenges that coaches face are number one, difficulty finding clients. How many of you ever feel invisible online at all? Anyone feel like you're posting content, but you're not attracting the leads or getting the clients that you're wanting to? It's a real problem for coaches today. Another one is unclear on niche and value proposition. To Jason's point earlier, some of you that shared have already done some niche work, which I love, niche or niche, depending on where in the world you, or niche, if you want to get really fancy, where in the world you live. But it's really important to clarify your niche and your actual value proposition and message when you're starting. Another common problem is being overwhelmed by marketing and sales. How many of you, give me a yes in the chat or a hand up on the screen, feel a little bit overwhelmed by all the different coaches out there that are telling you you should do this strategy and then this strategy and then that? Jody, totally. You're not alone. And if you try to do all of them simultaneously, you will spread yourself too thin. So there is a very strategic order of what to do when. And my intention is to roll out the roadmap for each of you to understand what that order is so that you can get into implementation right away today. Raquel said, oh, yes, absolutely. So overwhelming, totally. And the fourth common challenge is relying too much on referrals, right? Many of us didn't get into coaching because we wanted to learn marketing. We got into coaching because we wanted to learn how to facilitate transformation. We wanted to change lives. We wanted to create freedom for ourselves and our family. But those are necessary things to learn: marketing, lead gen, sales systems. And most coaches never develop the skills to do that. And they just rely on referrals, wishing and hoping that a new client will come to them when they post on social media or when they put up their website. So those are the common challenges that you can face. Do me a favor, team. Just type in the chat which of these challenges you can relate to. Is it difficulty finding clients? Is it unclear on your niche? I just want to have a gauge of where each of you are at. Is it overwhelm around the marketing, sales, and systems? Or is it relying too much on referrals? You know, this is going to be a very participatory webinar. It's not me just talking on a soapbox. There we go. Finding clients said Colleen. Marjorie said overwhelmed with marketing and sales. Jody said all of the above. Totally. All right, team. All seems to be on my list. All right, well, it looks like I hit the nail on the head here with some of these problems. So let's dive into the roadmap. What do you do? What's the process to build a six-figure coaching business? I'm going to give you the big overview right now of what the 7 steps are, and then I'm going to go down and chunk down into detail into each of them so you know what to implement. Of course, step number 1, and I know this isn't new, is to choose a coaching niche. I will go into some techniques on how to do that today and what kind of niche you should choose, but that is the fundamental, foundational piece of where we start. If we are unclear on our niche, everything else is harder. But when we are crystal clear on our niche and we're clear on our message and the problem we solve, everything else gets easier. Social media, funnels, webinars, all this stuff, you know, your sales process gets easier when you have nailed that. The second step is mapping your magnetic message. Is what's the message that you're going to share online and offline that attracts your clients? How many of you have been wanting to do coaching or in the industry for a while? If you've been in it for more than a couple of years, you've been in it for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years like me, you may have seen that this industry has exploded. And the good news about that is it's very popular. There's a lot of demand for coaches. That's a great news. The problem is there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of competition. And with ChatGPT and AI, content is more content is being put online than ever before, and it's only going to get more intense. So that's why it's so important to clarify and map out what I call your magnetic message. The third step is to package your irresistible offer. And this is another important piece, right? Is how do you differentiate yourself from others, right? If you're a business coach, Jason and I aren't the only business coaches in the world today. There's others that are out there too. So, how do we differentiate ourselves? How do you, as a health coach or a life coach or a relationship coach, differentiate yourself from others? Totally, Sue. I just see Sue's comment of the market would be a problem, but also the thing around technology. Totally understand. Step 4 is to conduct market research calls. I'm going to go into detail of what those are today. It is the hands down fastest path for you to sign your first or your next paying clients. So I cannot wait to share that with you today. The 5th step is structuring a client acquisition process. What is your process to start a conversation with somebody and not just coach them for free or beg them to work with you or pressure them to make a decision, but how can you create a genuine, natural process that builds that trust, that adds that value, and increases the likelihood that they're going to say yes and move forward in working with you? The 6th step is to launch a sales funnel. Honestly, most people complicate sales funnels and make it seem really overwhelming. I'll share a simple strategy today on how to do this in a very simple way. Do you need a sales funnel to get clients? No, you don't. However, when you have it, it just allows you to automate the business so that your business starts to run without you. Yes, there's still going to be participation and engagement that you're doing, but it's really nice when you've got systems in place, leads coming in, calls being booked, and all of that being automated. And the 7th step is installing a lead nurture system. So not only do you want to generate leads, but you want to nurture and warm those leads up. There's a small percentage of your audience that when they first see you online, within hours or days, they become clients. That totally can happen. And many could take weeks or even months to do that. And so how do you stay on their radar? How do you build that know, like, and trust over time? And how do you collapse the time that it takes to actually build that connection? That's what we're going to talk about today. So those are the 7 steps. If you want to take a screenshot of that, please do. That way you know these different steps. And then we're going to go right into each one. Love the comments I'm seeing from many of you on here. So thank you for engaging. Oh, you can't see the screen. Give me hey team, can you guys see the screen? Just give me a yes in the chat or a no if you cannot. I just got a message from Christus saying that we cannot. Okay, Jason said yes. Derek said yes. Christus, you may want to, yeah, okay. Looks like everyone can see the screens. Christus, I don't know what's happened on your end. You may want to log out and come back in if you want to, okay? Andrea said yes. Oh, good. I'm seeing some familiar faces here. I love it. All right. So step number 1, how do you choose a coaching niche? Well, number 1, easiest way to clarify this is they must have a painful problem. Remember, if what you're offering is a nice to have, but not a must have, everything else gets harder. So how can you frame your niche and clarify what is that painful problem that you're solving? If the problem is painful enough, they're going to see value in your coaching. If it's just a nice to have, then are they willing to pay the money and invest the time to work with you to solve a problem that isn't really significant? Probably not. So it's really important to unpack and clarify that. And I'm going to go into more details in a moment on how. The second big one is they must be able to afford your coaching. Now, this doesn't mean that you only can sell to people that are wealthy, but it does mean that you want to find people that are resourceful. And that's what I mean by afford, is they not only either have the resources, but they're resourceful in a way to become, to find the resources, to create the resources to work with you. When I hired my first business coach, and I know Jason's worked with made big investments with his coaches as well. My very first coach, this was back in 2014, I invested $20,000, 20 grand. And that was a lot of money to me at the time. It was a big investment. It was at a time when I had lost my sole source of income. I was in between jobs. And I had a choice to make. I could go back and tap my network and find another job in investment banking or private equity and make a living, or I could pursue this thing. And I didn't have the cash to do that. I actually had some savings. I had to borrow some money from family. I had to take on some credit card debt. But even though I didn't have the resources, I was resourceful. And when you find somebody with that mindset, with that level of commitment, with that motivation, oh my gosh, then it's simply are we a fit to work together, because they're already motivated. And guess what? That type of client is going to run through walls. They're going to implement and step outside of their comfort zone more than any other client would. So that's a really, really important piece. Now, of course, there's people that don't have the resources and you still want to help them. I totally get it. So do I. And the way that you can do that is through your free content or through maybe a lower priced online course that's more affordable. So everyone can get supported. And for you to do this as a six-figure coach and beyond, you want to make sure that you, right, get paid for your services. Really, really important. The third key here is to make sure that they are easy to target. If you don't have a title that they can self-identify with, it's harder to find them, right? For Jason, if it's online business owners he's targeting, that's a label that they can self-identify with. It's a title. For me, if it's coaches or consultants, that's a title, right? So if it's a stay-at-home mom, that's a great title to use to attract stay-at-home moms. If it's an executive, an entrepreneur, right? You want to be very, very specific on who that person is. And when you do that, again, everything else gets easier. This one is something that may seem obvious, but you want to make sure when choosing a niche that there must be growing demand for your niche. In other words, if you're a marketing coach and your only strategy is to help people, promote their business and generate leads through newspapers, some of you may be young enough to not even know what those are, but for those of us that are a little bit older who remember magazines and newspapers, those are industries that are dying. They're slowing down, they're dying, right? That's not an industry that you want to choose a niche inside of. And then finally, and this is the most important, is you got to be passionate about helping them. If you don't find joy in sharing a plane ride, I live in San Diego. So if I was to fly from San Diego to New York, that'd be about a 6-hour flight. If I wasn't happy sitting next to my client for those 6 hours, then I probably chose the wrong client, right? So what kind of clients bring you energy, bring you joy? Are conversations that light you up? That's who you want to choose as a niche. Now, for any of you, I'm curious, who here, just by a show of hands or just give me a yes in the chat, who here feels a little bit of resistance, a little bit of fear of choosing a niche, of narrowing down your niche, because you're maybe afraid of missing out on clients? Can anyone here relate to that or feel that way? Sue said no. Awesome. Okay. I'm just curious if anyone else. Raquel said no. Gregory said yes. Okay. It's a very common thing. So it's good to see some of you don't feel that. But Gregory, thank you for being honest and saying that you do. Yeah, Johan said difficulty to decide which, for sure. I want to share an analogy that flips this whole thing on its head, because many people believe that if you niche down, you miss opportunity, when in truth, when you niche down and you get super narrow, you triple it. And so the analogy that I use, I learned this from a mentor of mine years ago, is imagine that I had you come visit me in San Diego and we walk over to the beach about 10 minutes from my home and I give you a net and I say, Johan or Jason or Ken or Marjorie, I want you to cast this net out into the ocean to catch as many fish as possible. And what you may think to yourself is that you cast that net as wide as possible, because if you cast it wider and you take up more space, you're going to catch more fish. But I'm curious, since there's holes in this net, what happens to the holes in the net if you cast it wide? Do the holes get bigger or do they get smaller? Go ahead and comment that in the chat. Do the holes get bigger or do they get smaller? They get bigger, don't they? And what happens when the holes get bigger? The fish swim through the net. And so when instead you decide to be highly targeted, yes, you may be repelling others that don't align or don't self-identify with that niche, but you're going to start magnetically attracting those that do. And if any of you feel like you want to model someone who's very popular as a coach, think about Tony Robbins. Whether you love him or you don't like him, he's arguably one of the most successful coaches on the planet. And today, when you look at Tony, what does he do? He helps people on their business and their health and their relationships. And he has all these different courses and programs. And you go to an event and there's 15,000 people in a convention center. But was he doing that when he started in the 80s? He wasn't. He had one niche that he served. He was teaching NLP, influence, right? Basically to people in sales. And so he started there. And then as his brand grew, he was able to expand his niche. So it's a big mistake many people make is they aspire to say, I'm just going to be a life coach who helps everyone with everything. The problem with that is no one knows who you help and what you do. Yeah, he made a name for himself first, Ken, totally, for sure. But he did that because he solved people's problems in a very narrow niche. All right, so that's step one. I hope you all get that. Some of you have already done some work around niching down, but let's get down into the message. The message is the message that you share online and offline that tells people who you help and what you help people with. This makes things a lot easier. So I have a framework that I use that I want to share with all of you. And it goes like this. It says, I help this person struggling with this problem achieve this promise. So there's 3 P's: person, problem, and promise. So an example of this, if you were to ask me what I do, I could say I'm a business coach, but that doesn't tell you anything, right? If instead you said, what do? I could say I help coaches that are struggling to generate enough leads earn their first 6 figures in 12 months or less. Now that is a lot clearer. That is a lot more specific. That gets somebody to lean in and say, that sounds really interesting. Tell me more. How do you do that? I want to find out more. That's what you want to do with your magnetic messages. You don't want to be clever. You want to be clear, right? We don't want to have a bunch of bells and whistles on this thing. We want to be simple. We want it to be understood in about 5 to 7 seconds. If it takes 30 seconds or a minute to describe what you do and who you help, your audience has just lost, you've just lost your audience. So an example of this could be if you're an executive, you could say you're an executive coach, or you could say, I help senior finance leaders struggling to empower their team, improve their leadership skills to prepare for CFO roles. Notice how clear, how specific, how tangible that message is. Team, is this helpful? Give me a yes in the chat if it is. And again, take a screenshot of this, and I highly recommend taking your own message and putting your message into this magnetic message framework. Andrea said yes. Johan said yes. Love it, team. Great. Just a quick story about a client of mine named Rachel. Rachel and I connected a couple of years ago on one of our business brainstorm calls, and she was all over the place with her niche and message. Her specialty, guys, was conflict resolution. She was so good at helping people manage conflict. But the problem was the message on her website was all over the place. She was talking about conflict in marriages, conflict in business, conflict in family, right? Interfamily conflict, all this stuff. And she was really struggling. She didn't really know how to attract clients online. And we dove deep in our coaching in the first couple of weeks of our process and really helped her clarify her niche. And she ended up niching down to workplace conflict specifically. Even though she could help other people outside of work and outside of career around conflict, we helped her really get clear on that. And she just made a couple small tweaks to her LinkedIn profile, to her website with her messaging. And literally within the first 2 months, she generated $18,000 from that. And that was more than she did the entire previous year. And I share this story just to let you know that if you didn't implement anything else from this training, but all you did was narrow down your niche and shift your messaging and have your social media content reflect that, you will start feeling more growth, getting more engagement, getting more calls booked and more clients just from that one thing alone. Okay. So next step is, now that we've talked about the niche and the message, the next step is getting clear on your offer. So I just am curious, how many of you have an offer at this stage? And what is your offer? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Go ahead and type in the chat what your offer is right now, because there's different offers that you could have. You want to make sure to start by packaging your offer into something that's irresistible. Let me just read Raquel's question right here. She said, struggling is a strong word, and my niche usually don't like to admit they are struggling. What do you suggest to use instead? Oh, Totally get that, Raquel. Just think about the problem. Like, what's the problem of your niche? You don't have to use the word struggling, but you have to imply that there's a problem that you're helping them solve. So if that's not a word you want to use, you can take that out, but do not exclude the problem. The reason why, let me just go back here, team. The reason why we lead with the problem is because it creates connection. If I was to just tell you, I help you build a 7-figure empire overnight, it would probably trigger a lot of your BS meters. A lot of you would look at me and be like, oh my gosh, this is another hypey TikToker who's posing in front of a rented, Lamborghini, pretending like he's, this, and that. And that's true, right? If I was to do that. But if instead I say, I help this person who has this problem, there's something that people can self-identify with because your ideal clients have that problem. So that's the idea. Raquel, great question. That's a way to do it. You can take the word out struggling, but totally do not exclude the problem from that. Thank you, team. I see Colleen's offer is 6 weeks. Tom's offer is 3 months. Okay, cool. So let's go into the offer creation. A mistake that many coaches make is that they first sell coaching sessions instead of transformational outcomes. So if you sell a session or you sell an hour of your time, there's a limited commitment that you're going to get from a client. Versus, let's say that you're selling a 3-month coaching package or a 6-month coaching package. So really simple, make sure to have a package. It's going to be a lot more attractive. And honestly, your clients will get way more value, wouldn't they? By working with you for 3 months or 6 months instead of working with you for one session. And nothing's worse than having like a session by session relationship with somebody, because in every session, you're kind of wondering, is this client going to continue? Do I need to resell them into the next session? And it just feels awkward in that relationship. It also helps you financially, of course, when you have a package, when you have somebody who commits to a bigger, pay in full price or a monthly payment plan working with you. So some ways to think about it. Number one, I recommend almost all of you when you're just starting, start with one-on-one coaching, right? It's kind of really hard, to be honest, to create a leverage group coaching program or an online course if you've never delivered this stuff before. If you don't understand your process, if it's not proven, building leverage at this stage of your business is, in my opinion, a mistake. You want to start with one-on-one. And I know one-on-one's not scalable. I totally get that. But if you got a couple one-on-one clients, even if you're working full-time right now and you only have bandwidth for 3 clients, then start with a couple of clients, and then we can start building your leverage options after that. But a great way to think about this, I'm not going to tell you what price to charge because it really depends on your niche and your expertise, but a generally nice pricing framework to follow is to have a 3-month coaching package is a great time duration, right? There's a reason why health coaches do 90-day challenges, right? Think about a health and fitness transformation. 90 days, 3 months is long enough to create a significant transformation. It's also short enough to keep somebody highly motivated. And the way you should frame it is there could be a pay in full discount and a monthly payment. So let's say that, you have a, we'll call it somebody, maybe you're charging $1,000 a month for 3 months of coaching. And that's the monthly payment plan. And if somebody wants a prepay up front, they save $600, which is a 20% discount. So it's a one-time payment of $2,400. That's a great way to think about it. Again, I'm not telling you, Johan and Katie and Sue and Raquel and Tom to charge that amount, but just think about that's a good frame to price your coaching with, is the 20% prepay discount and then a payment plan after that. Another offer, of course, is group coaching. The secret to group coaching team is going to be a curriculum, right? Yes, you could do a weekly or a bi-weekly call. But if there's not a curriculum for your students and clients to go through, then there could be attrition. People could drop off. When you have a curriculum, now your clients are getting value every single day and every single week, even if they're not having a one-on-one call with you that day. And so group, generally, you're going to charge less than what you would charge for a one-on-one offer, right? So if, for example, your one-on-one is $3,000 for 3 months, your group could be $1,500, right? For 3 months, $500 a month. Or if you do the discount, it'd be, what is that? $1,200, right? Pay in full. So that's an idea of just thinking about having different offers. Of course, you could have a standalone online course or the training curriculum, and you can repurpose some of this content. So one of the nice things that we do at Fearless Coach Academy is I have an unbelievable, like super detailed curriculum for all of our students, Really, really valuable to implement that. We've got worksheets and templates and all these tools that they can use to generate leads and get clients. I've also hand selected some of those resources and I've packaged it into an online course. So for those that don't do Fearless Coach Academy, they want to just do a kind of a self-study or self-directed program. We have that package as an online course. And that's a nice thing to have because now you're creating alternate revenue streams in your business. The other nice thing, and again, I know this may not apply to all of you, but let's say some of you are doing corporate coaching or you have a strategic thing that you're teaching. Other companies, other businesses could pay you to license your content. And this is really, really amazing. A couple of years ago, I partnered with an NLP certification company, one of the best NLP certifiers on the planet. It was actually my mentor who I learned NLP from years ago. And he had all these graduates that were phenomenal coaches, right? They graduated, they had these skills to facilitate the deepest level of transformation in their clients' lives, but they didn't really understand the marketing and the sales and the business side of things. And they tried to teach some of it, but they weren't doing it as effective as they could have. So they, my mentor reached out to me. He goes, "Hey, listen, I love what you're doing." He goes, "I want to partner with you." He decided to license my intellectual property and invest a lot of money to do that for his students. I come in and I teach a webinar from time to time, which is great. I love doing that. I love doing things like this. And we're generating a lot of passive income that doesn't require any fulfillment on my end from the curriculum. So it's really nice to have that. I know I'm kind of getting a little advanced here. This is more of a strategy for those of you that are at six figures and want to scale. But when you have this curriculum, it can create a lot of income, impact, and freedom for you. And then lastly is retreats or events. Team, how many of you do events and retreats in your business? I just give me a yes or a no in the chat. Not all of you need to do it. But if you choose to do it, it can be one of the most fulfilling things ever. Jody said no. Andrea said yes. Yeah. As I said earlier, I would lead these fearless life experience retreats where I, fly in 12, 15 different executives, business owners, coaches, and we rent this incredible, right, home overlooking the ocean in Del Mar, California. We'd hire surf instructors. We'd take people down to Mexico to go great white shark diving. And there's magic that happens when you're with clients in person. I love doing this online stuff, but nothing can replace the in-person immersion when you're with somebody for 3 or 4 days in a row and you witness the impact, the bonds that are created, the breakthroughs. It can be really, really fulfilling. Yeah, and again, you don't all have to do that, but it can be, again, a great approach. All right, let's talk about market research interviews. This is a really important strategy. Some of you may have heard this strategy before, but very few have actually implemented it effectively. So how many of you are working with paying clients currently? Just give me a yes if you have worked with a paying client, and give me a no if you haven't, just so I understand where each of you are. Okay, so Raquel, no. Greg, yes. No, no, no. Okay, cool. Awesome. So we've got quite a few of you that haven't even launched yet. Perfect. So Colleen, you've got one client. This will be a good strategy to get to your next client. Johan said soon to be. Absolutely, brother. Totally soon to be. Okay, cool. So here's the idea. A mistake that many coaches make is they avoid their warm network out of fear of being salesy. So they think to themselves that I'm going to launch a coaching business and I'm going to go promote it on social media to people who don't know who I am to get clients. And I'm going to ignore all of the people in my inner circle who know me, like me, trust me, who I have relationship capital with. And this is a huge, huge, huge mistake. And so instead, what you want to do is you want to conduct market research interviews, which are a way to gain valuable market research from warm network while orchestrating referrals. And here's the big idea. Let's say, Ken, you reach out to your network and you think about people in your network who represent your ideal client. Okay, somebody who has the problem or may have the problem that you can solve, or at least be connected to somebody who does. And you reach out to them and you ask them for a favor. And you say, "Hey, listen, I've decided this year in 2025 that I'm going to launch this coaching business. And here's who it's for, and here's what it's about. I'm looking for a favor. I'm looking to interview a handful of people in my inner circle so that I can better understand your challenges and your goals and your frustrations and all those things so I can make this program to be as valuable as possible to somebody like you." And in that, you generally follow our market research interview script. I have a word for word script that many of our clients use to ask these questions to really pull out incredible market research. Not only does that give you great awareness and understanding of your niche and the problems they're struggling with and how to produce content that solves those problems, but it also, at the end, when you share a little bit about the program, and this is how you wrap it up. You basically conduct the market research interview. It could be a 15, 20, 30-minute call. And then at the end, you say, okay, thank you so much for this. Let me tell you a little bit about the program. Here's who it's for. Here's what it's designed to do. Now, you're not pitching them. You're not telling them the price or anything like that. You're just giving them enough to lean in and see the value. And then you're asking them the magic question. And the magic question is, I'm curious, who do you know that would benefit from this? Do me a favor, team, and just type who do you know in the chat. Who do you know is the magic question. The reason is because that one question invites them to think about somebody that they know that could open up the door and orchestrate a referral for you. And obviously, a referral is going to be a much warmer lead than a total stranger online. Who do you know? Love it, team. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for just being like totally engaged on this. I love it. It also, if they see enough value in that, may decide to self-select themselves. And what I mean by that is when you say, who do you know? They may slow down, think to themselves and say, Jody, Ken, Colleen, this actually sounds like something that I would be interested in or my team would be interested in. And now you've got their interests. And again, in that moment, you don't go and pitch them, you don't sell them. That would feel like a hidden agenda. Your agenda was to get valuable market research and orchestrate referrals. But if they are interested, then say, awesome, I don't want to rush that process. Let's schedule another call. Let's dive in deeper and see if this would be a fit for you. And now you're not rushing them into a sale, into an offer. Really, really good here. Who do I know? I don't get it. Coaches, psychiatric people, clientele. I'm not sure, Sue, what you mean by your comment. So please do clarify what you're meaning, okay? Another example of a client who did this very effectively is Neil Livingstone. Neil is an Australian business consultant. Now, he already, team, had an established consulting business. He was making about $500,000 a year, 500,000. But he was doing like a lot of heavy lifting consulting. Like he was a CFO consultant. So he was basically providing CFO services for companies, and it was him doing everything. And he wanted more freedom. He just felt stuck in his business. He was trading time for money. He made good money, right? But it was like he had a job. And so we taught him this approach. We taught him first how to create a leverage group coaching program. He didn't really understand the model of that, but we taught him how to do market research interviews because this guy was already viewed as an expert, right? He already had an inner circle who trusted him, who sought guidance from him. And he did literally like some market research interviews in the first 30 days and generate $100,000. Now, again, I don't want to take that outcome and say that's something that we would promise everyone, right? This one is already very established, but that's the potential that this could have. And if you're just starting out, another client of mine, Rachel, she enrolled four $3,000 clients in the first 30 days with just this one thing. So I highly encourage you each take this step outside of your comfort zone if you haven't yet and conduct these market research interviews. Really, really important. Oh, yeah, I see your question, Sue. You're asking who should you do these with? Do the market research interviews with people who represent your ideal client. So the people that you know in your life who may have the problem that you solve. Now, here's the thing. If your coaching is a very sensitive subject, let's say you help people navigating divorce, or you help people navigating the grief of losing a loved one, right? Maybe you're a grief coach. Then reaching out to people and saying, hey, I feel like you lost a loved one on an interview about this, that may not be appropriate, right? You want to kind of leverage your emotional intelligence on that. You can still do market research through things like AI and ChatGPT, but this is really a strategy that could work if you feel comfortable approaching your network and saying, listen, I want to get your feedback on this and get a favor from you so that I can make this program to be as valuable as possible. Ken said, don't have anyone in my network that would be my target niche. Yeah. So for that reason, Ken, you want to implement this strategy, but you would totally do market research using things like ChatGPT. In fact, one of our students, or actually all of our students in Fearless Coach Academy, I give them what's called a build a buyer persona that walks them through step by step how to clarify the frustrations, fears, and wants and aspirations of their ideal clients. It's unbelievable. Okay, let's keep going. Structuring client acquisition. Real quick on time, team. We have about 15 more minutes. And so I'm going to go through this, and then please do continue to engage with questions as we go through this. Structuring your client acquisition process is, again, a huge mistake is offering free coaching sessions. I know some people out there teach this stuff of like, just give free coaching sessions away and you'll get clients. And I get if you're in like a coach certification program, you're doing this to build skills, right? To get an, and some ICF certifications require you to have certain number of hours or certain number of sessions before you get certified. But from a business, like a sales perspective, this is a terrible strategy. And I know because I've done this before. The problem with this is that it's free. So people's mindset is, okay, you're just giving me free coaching. Why would I want to work with you? So even if you think you're a great coach, there's just an understood like intent or expectation to just get free value from that. So instead, you do want to develop an ethical, high converting sales process. Ethical is a word that I choose very, very purposefully. I think there's a lot of high pressure, manipulative stuff out there. So don't model those things unless that's fine with your personality. For me, I made the mistake of doing the free thing because I was afraid of selling. And I made the mistake of doing the extreme kind of high pressure thing too, because some mentor told me to do it at a time. Both of them felt out of integrity. You want to develop what I call the effortless enrollment framework. It's our process, and it helps you move from pro bono coaching, free coaching to actual paid coaching. And again, think about if many of you are just starting out, it may feel like a big leap to go from zero, never working with somebody before, to charging $3,000 or $5,000 or $10,000. You don't need to start there, right? You could say, okay, my normal pricing is going to be 5,000, but for the first 3 clients, I'm doing it for $1,000 or $300 a month, right? Or whatever that number is. Now that feels like it's probably a piece of value that you can over deliver on, right? You want to choose an offer that you can over deliver on, but you also want to develop a strategic process for that sales conversation. Matthew said you need buyers, not freebie hunters, people who pay attention. Totally. Yeah, 100%. And again, the freebie things is a good thing to offer for sure, but you're right. You don't want people who are just looking to pick your brain and kick the tires. You want people who have intent, right? Who not only have a problem that they can solve, that you can solve, but they're actively looking for a solution and they're willing to invest time and money for that. Totally 100% team. By the way, I've got gifts for all of you at the end of this that are going to be really helpful. I've got a sales script that you can use. I've got the market research interview script. Many of you can use these tools if you want to. Last story of a client, Harry here. He's a mindset coach, very phenomenal coach, like just heart of gold. This dude is a giver. He's a powerful transformational coach. He had a broken sales process when we first met on our business brainstorm call, and he was doing the free coaching thing. He was only enrolling about 10% of people he was making offers to. The dude was gifted. His clients were getting incredible results, but he just wasn't getting enough clients. We taught him our effortless enrollment framework, and he was able to 4x his conversion to go from 10% to 40% and generate 50 grand in 90 days. So just know that even if you resist sales, it is a disservice to avoid it. It is a disservice to your clients because think of all the people that you had the opportunity to serve that said no or that weren't ready to, right? When if you had the right process in place, they could have potentially said yes. Social media client attraction. I'm going to do this very quickly. At a high level team, this is basically producing social media. You want to start organic, right? So don't get into paid ads and all this stuff in the beginning. Just start by producing content that's relevant to your audience on your social media channel. The first step is to optimize your profile for authority. So when you're clear on your magnetic message, update that on your profile, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, whatever platform you're choosing. Make sure that people who are connected to you personally know that you're a coach and who you help. Second is create content that showcases your expertise. Make it relevant. I'll share a little story in a moment on how to do that. But if it's just random content, it's not going to position your authority. You want it to be about the topic of your coaching. Not all of it. You can still share pictures of you and the family, of hobbies that you have, of vacations that you're going on, but definitely bring business into your personal social media channels. Third is network strategically and engage with target clients. Many of you are doing business and executive coaching. Some of you are. LinkedIn is a great place to do that, but I do not recommend cold messaging. I recommend networking in a strategic way. And lastly, using direct outreach effectively. Here's a really important distinction for all of you. I call this lighthouse versus tugboat marketing. Tugboat marketing is cold messaging or cold DMing people on social. It's all those messages that we typically get, right, from people at times on LinkedIn and other platforms is cold. How many of you actually open those or engage with any of those? Matthew, Greg, Johan, Danny, yeah, no, none of us do, right? And so that's not an effective strategy. That's called tugboat marketing. It's where you throw your rope around a boat, you try to drag it back into the harbor, instead of lighthouse marketing, which is you shining your light, which means sharing your message. One of the things that we've done, one of the things that Jason has done so well is become a lighthouse. We communicate content in a very clear way through our YouTube channels, through our social media platforms. And by doing that, without asking anything in return, that light attracts the boats to come to us. And that's the idea. When you do that, then you can do direct outreach, right? If somebody joins your Facebook group or they comment on a YouTube video, now they're going to be a lot more receptive to respond to a message that you send. Why is all this so important? Because of a mentor of mine named Wyatt Woodsmall. He said that when you can articulate another person's problem better than they can, they automatically and unconsciously credit you with knowing the solution. Now, I know that's a mouthful. That's a lot right there, but let me take it step by step. When you articulate another person's problem better than they can, that's what you want to do in your content, in your emails, in your blog posts, in your videos. It's not about your coaching. It's not about buy my products, pay this price. It's about here's a problem that you're facing. Here's how to solve it. When you describe that problem in better detail than they can, they credit you with the solution. That's why if you look at Jason's YouTube channel or mine, you will see so much of our content is on clarifying these problems and speaking to them in so much detail. Really, really powerful. Aha. This is a guy who was an NLP trainer many years ago. Actually, I don't even know if he's still teaching, but a really, really profound idea. Last two steps, launching your sales funnel. Now, sales funnel is really, it's less complex than you may have heard. Think about a lead magnet, right? A lead magnet is something that you give away for free. How many of you have ever downloaded a lead magnet before? A PDF, a guide, a cheat sheet, a checklist? Anyone download these? Yeah, Matthew, cool. So that's what it is. It's you're offering something for free in exchange for somebody's contact info, right? You have a funnel where there's a landing page and there's a thank you page. The lead magnet needs to be a complete solution to a narrow problem. So a newsletter that just gives you updates is not something that we really want anymore, right? Even though newsletters are making a comeback, generally speaking, a generalized newsletter to like opt in for future updates, no one really wants that. But if instead you have a lead magnet that solves a problem, now that's attractive. And once your lead magnet solves that problem, it should then reveal the next problem, which can only be solved by a call that leads to your offer. So an example of this is we have a lead magnet that's a sales script for coaches. People download it. When they get to the thank you page of the funnel, it has a video that says, hey, congrats, you've got your sales script. It'll show up in your inbox in a few minutes. But if you downloaded this, it means that now that you know how to enroll clients, you probably want some help booking more sales calls. And if that's the case, then schedule a call with us, right? So what I just did was I provided the solution to their problem, but I created a new problem. Now that they know how to get clients, how in the world do they get sales calls and leads? And that can only be solved by taking the next step, which is booking a call. So that's really a simple way to think about a sales funnel, right? It's a complete solution to a narrow problem. They download the thing, they get invited to book a call, and now you're getting sales calls booked. Do me a favor, team. Give me a yes in the chat if you have this sales funnel set up in your business, or give me a no if you don't. Would love to see. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, team, come on. Okay, I know many of you are starting, so we definitely get to do that. That's an important step in the process. Lastly, last step is installing a lead nurture system. Okay, lead nurture is like email. right? Fortune is in the follow-up. Many of you that have a sales background have heard this before. Some of you that don't. Only a small percentage of people, when they first hear you, are ready to buy now. Some of them are, for sure, could buy in the first hours or days of meeting you. Some of them may need days, weeks, or even months to have that rapport and have that trust with you. Your email nurture sequence is designed to build know, like, and trust while delivering massive value to warm up cold leads into hot prospects. Your sales process will get so much easier when somebody's 80% enrolled already, right? If you're talking to an 8, 9, or 10 out of the temperature scale of 1 to 10 instead of a 1, 2, or 3, then that sales conversation is, hey, let's just explore if we're a fit versus you trying to manufacture urgency and scarcity and all this fake stuff. You don't want to do that. Okay. Um, oh, yep, sure. And Sue, if you missed any of these that you didn't screenshot, I'll make sure that you get the slides and I'll make sure that you get the replay of this. Okay. So you can go back and watch. So the idea here is install a nurture system that gets prospects 80% sold before the offer. That's the goal. Your job, you want your marketing to do the heavy lifting. If you think about the 3 pillars of a successful 6-figure coaching business, there's marketing, sales, and fulfillment. You want your marketing to not only generate the leads, but you want it to also nurture and warm those leads up so that your sales process is simple and it converts well. That's the big idea. Okay, so as a recap team, and then I've got a really awesome invitation for you at the end. The 6-figure coach roadmap. Step 1 is choosing a coaching niche. Step 2, mapping your magnetic message. Step 3, packaging an irresistible offer. Step 4, conducting market research calls. Step 5, structuring your client acquisition. Step 6, launching your sales funnel. And the final step is installing your lead nurture system. Again, if you didn't take a screenshot earlier in the training, please do now so you have that. And I'm going to open it up for questions in a moment. Before I do, as a thank you for attending, if any of you want to dive deeper on any of these steps, I have a whole free online course on my YouTube channel, and it's incredible. It literally walks through each of these with like 10-minute videos on each of them. So you can just find me on YouTube or any social media channel, search for Peter Scott IV, and you'll find me. There's a playlist on there that's called How to Start a Coaching Business, and you can totally watch that for free and just binge watch as much content. And if you did sign up for this, I know that some of you may want help with growing your coaching business. And if you do, I simply invite you to schedule a complimentary business brainstorm call with me and my team. As a thank you to Jason for allowing me to teach to you today, I really genuinely want to help you grow your business and become successful. So during this call, it's really simple. It's a 15-minute fast-paced call. We're going to help you clarify your niche, your message, and your offer so you get clients easier. We're going to identify the number one thing that's holding you back from making the impact and earning the income you desire. And we'll actually map out a customized 3-step project plan for you. I know this was big picture, but this will be a lot more relevant to you. So if you want to do that, simplest way is to just go to earn100kcoaching.com. I'm going to type in the link in the chat so you can just click it so it's easier. Give me a moment. That's the link, and you can book the complimentary call. The reason why we're offering this call for free, I'm going to be totally transparent, is I know that some of you, when you get this plan, may want our help in implementing it. If not, no worries at all. You still get the plan. But if you do want help, then we would basically explore if or how we can help you. And I'm an open book. So on that call, if you want to know the details of what it would look like for us to support you, then I'm happy to share those with you. There's zero pressure. It's not a sales call. It's genuinely a give of a helpful strategy and a game plan to grow your coaching business. And it's just a way to get you there faster. Could you figure this stuff out on your own? Potentially, you could. I made the mistake the first year of my business to try to do all this stuff on my own, and it just wasted time. And fortunately, I was able to still have enough runway to stay in it. But a lot of coaches try it for a couple months on their own, and then they have to go back and get their job or stay in their job because they don't really have a game plan that helps them. So I just want you to encourage all of you to have that. Let me just, your link has not got, that is just written. Not sure what you mean there. Oh, it's working. Okay, cool. Yeah. So if you click that link, it should work. Earn100kcoaching.com. Awesome. Thank you, Matthew and Jason, for letting me know. Team, let's open it up to questions. I know that that was a lot in 60 minutes. We're at 58 minutes, but go ahead and fire away with any questions. Johan said, I think I found my niche or two and started doing content and everything. But from my network, even there's a lot of potential entrepreneurs and executives. I cannot create leads. Any ideas how to do something more effective? So let me just see this. You found your niche, but from your network, even though there's a lot of potential, I cannot create leads. So I would encourage you, Johan, to number one, do those market research interviews if you haven't. Really, really important that you start doing those. If you've explored those, exhausted those, and you're not getting leads from your network, then you may not have, right, potential referral partners or people that could be your ideal clients in your network. We actually had a call previously, I know, and I remember. I sense that that's not the case. So I would double down on market research interviews. But if those don't work, then it's time for you to build your audience around and build your content on the nature of your coaching. So you've got to go all in on that niche. You've got to produce content on it, whether it's video or written content, and consistently show up every week on whichever social media channel that you do. Obviously, you can grow faster when you get to paid ads and things like that, but that's a little bit more advanced. I would recommend starting with your network of market research, really exploring that, and then moving on to producing that content, just like I shared in the presentation today. Okay.
Peter,
Okay.
I got a question for you. I'm
Yeah,
gonna hop in
Jason, go
here.
for it.
And by the way, what an amazing training. This is so
Oh,
much
thank you,
value
man.
here. So thank you so much for sharing this. As I'm going through it, I'm like, man, had I known this stuff my first few years in my this, I would have saved so much time and frustration and pain. So thank you so much for this. There's a lot of instability in the world right now. And I think a lot of people, maybe I can just speak for some people here, but I know that I've been hearing behind the scenes, there's so many people who have this passion for coaching. They have the desire to launch the business, but they might be asking themselves right now, is it the right time to do this? And feeling some uncertainty around that given the craziness of everything that's happening. What would you say to that person?
Yeah, great question. So, 100% agree that there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. There's a lot of fear. We call it FUD, right? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. There's nothing that I can say that takes that away. What I would say, Jason, is that you want to focus on the things that you can control. A lot of those things, for most of us on here live, for most of us watching the replay, we have no control over those things at all. And if we focus on that and let that be the reason of whether we should launch this business or not, we may let another year, 5 years, 10 years go by with this dream and with this vision and with this desire, but without the courage to actually make the leap. And so I believe, right, in the Chinese proverb that says, when is the best time to plant an oak tree? 20 years ago. When is the second best time? Today. We may never feel ready. I know I didn't. And I'm sure that for you, when you started too, Jason, it took a ton of courage. It took a ton of, right, stepping outside of your comfort zone to do that. But think of the cost of not doing it, right? For me, I was in this career that I literally felt like it was soul sucking. Like I had zero connection to my heart and I was paying the bills. And on the outside, I was successful. My family approved of it, right? All my friends are like, oh, wow, you're doing this, you're making this kind of money, but I was miserable. And so even with that uncertainty, number one, that actually creates even more demand for coaching. So I'd have you all consider that this could be even a better time to do that. And knowing that it doesn't happen overnight, it takes time to develop these skills. So because of that, the sooner that you start on this, the better. And it starts with a decision and a commitment to say, let's do something. Because if we don't, again, could you just stay here and coast through life? Perhaps, but often if we're not growing, we're going the opposite direction, aren't we? And I wouldn't want that for any of you. So that's what I would recommend. And yeah, to these points, Ken said, focus on what you have control of. Your business is what you have control of, right? If we're not getting enough leads, it means that we haven't become as skilled in communicating our message, in marketing, in those things. And so all of you have the capability, the intelligence. If you're here right now, you have everything that you need to learn, provided that you're coachable. So love that question, Jason. Thank you. Andrea had a quick question. I just wanted to answer that. Which one of my YouTube videos discusses sales funnels? Oh boy, there's a lot. I would recommend going through one called How to Create a Lead Magnet. That one will discuss sales funnels. Also, if you go to that course, I can just show you. If you just go to it, let me just show you real quick, team, so you can see this. And I'll share my channel here. My YouTube channel. My name is Peter Scott. Hey there, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Peter Scott. I'm the founder of Fearless Coach Academy. Okay, you go to the channel, you click on playlists. This is what it looks like. There's a second playlist here, How to Start a Coaching Business. If you view that, these are all the videos. How to Create a Lead Magnet is one of the videos, Andrea, that speaks specifically to sales funnel. And once you watch that, the algorithm will do its magic and show you more of my videos that are on that topic. But there's so much gold in this channel if you want to check it out. Thank you for asking that. Okay, Derek had a question. Should you use your personal social media or create new handles and reference and link out to them on your personal socials? Don't want my personal social media to just be sales and marketing content. Yeah, I would highly recommend, Derek, using your personal. And here's why. Number one, some people think, let's say just Facebook, for example, that they want to create a business page that's directed to their coaching. Business pages are great if you're running ads. But if you're producing content organically, meaning you're just posting for free and you're not paying to promote posts or you're not running ads, then your business page, the algorithm is set up to throttle back engagement. You're going to get way more engagement, way more impressions on your personal profile. Now, does that mean you just blast your personal profile, meaning your friends and family, on your coaching and nothing else? Of course not. You want to find a balance. So you want to still do personal stuff on there, right? Show pictures of your kids or vacations you're doing, adventures that you're on. But you also want to communicate content that's relevant and useful on your topic. And you're going to find that you're going to start attracting people that are more of your ideal clients. And for those that don't engage, it's, that's okay. There's no issue with that. So that's my personal recommendation, is leveraging, you already have an audience, right? Why start from zero when you have an audience there? Great question. Johan said there's many companies offering, for example, marketing support to create marketing strategy and run social media marketing and charge 15K for this. Would that be of value for the money? Johan, it depends. I work with an agency, right? They charge a lot of money. Many agencies charge somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000 a month, maybe more than that, $10,000 a month, just for the agency fee, not for any of your ad spend. If you have the right agency, sure, that could be potentially a good investment. I think that with where you're at and with where most of you are at today, I think hiring an agency is the worst decision to do at this stage. And honestly, the reason why is because if you're not crystal clear on your niche and your message, you don't have proven funnels, right? You haven't tested and validated your offer. It is a very fast way to pour money down the drain. I was probably a year into my coaching business before I ever considered, a year or two before I ever considered looking for agencies. And still, it was a significant investment. It was way outside of my comfort zone. I like to delegate the setting up of ads and managing those. I don't want to do any of that stuff, right? I know how to, and we teach our clients to. But at the stage of where most of your businesses are at, I would not encourage you to do that. Okay. Yeah. One thing, Jason, I'm curious about your path, right? Because I think you actually developed the skills yourself to run your own ads when you started. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think most people I find go to agencies when something is not working in their business, and there's a sense that someone else out there is going to solve the problem. When, to your point, there's deeper issues with niche, with messaging, with positioning. And so it's tempting to feel like, oh, if I just outsource this and hand this off to somebody else, then that problem's going to go away. But in reality, I think the more ownership we can take over those things, the more we can lay those foundations first. And then, to your point, delegating, bringing other people on becomes an amplifier of what's already working.
Yeah.
That's the mindset that I see to be most successful when it comes to navigating those kinds of things. So I've
Love
seen a
it.
lot of people come to me after spending, you've probably seen it too,
Yeah.
5, 10, 15, $20,000 on agencies, coming to me, empty-handed, feeling like they wasted a bunch of money. And I'm not saying there aren't good agencies out there, but in general, I think if we can build off a stable foundation, you're going to be so much more successful.
100%. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, totally. I see a question from Colleen. She said, looks like there's only one option left for a free call. Well, we got to make sure that there's availability. So I'm just going to double check this with you, Colleen. The page that I shared, team, looks like this. So you'll kind of learn more about the call by watching this video. But if you click this button, it takes you down to the schedule, and we actually have more availability now. It looks like the next couple days are booked with calls, but as soon as next Tuesday, there's a bunch of availability, next Wednesday, next Thursday. So I just opened up more availability. Hopefully, Andrea, some of those work for you. And for the rest of you, you can totally find more availability there. Okay. And what we'll do also is time continues to unlock each hour that passes on here. So, like tomorrow, for example, Friday will be open and so on. But there's more availability for the book. Obviously, the sooner you book, the better. For your own to get a spot. Clearly, we're getting a lot of calls booked. I can already tell since Thursday and Friday are blocked out. But that's what we just did is we unlocked more availability. Okay.
Just want to encourage everybody to take advantage of this too. Like, how rare is it that you actually get an opportunity to speak to a real human being?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know about
totally.
you, but I mean, there's all the webinars and the lead magnets and all this stuff, but Peter and his team are truly world-class professionals.
Yeah.
And I say this from a place of having been on the inside and knowing Peter personally. There's a lot of business coaches out there doing this work, and there's very few people that I truly trust. And I'm very protective with my audience, which is why I don't do these things very often. Peter is someone who really knows his stuff. And so I think it is so worth it having that conversation. You go walk away with a ton more clarity, and would just encourage everybody here to take advantage of that.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you. Well, team, that was a lot. I hope I didn't talk too fast for many of you. I have a tendency to speak quickly because there's a lot that I want to teach, but I just want to open up any final questions from anybody. Gregory, Andrea, Christina, Cynthia, anyone else have any other questions that we can support you with today? Oh, Raquel, thank you. Great presentation. Appreciate you. Appreciate you so much, team. Um, yeah, some of you are just people in my audience and who haven't met Jason, and this is the first time you're meeting Jason. Totally connect with him as well. Gosh, Jason, I love your stuff, by the way. Your YouTube channel is incredible, so thank you for giving as much as you give as well. And for those of you that like content, I think you've noticed if you follow Jason long enough or follow me, we love producing content. We love it. Like for me personally, I love it because I know that my content will probably impact more lives than my coaching will. It just will from a numbers perspective. Yes, I want as many of you to become clients so we can help you grow faster and have a bigger impact and create that ripple effect. But for those of you that don't, I want my content to help you succeed regardless of whether you work with us. And I think Jason feels the same way. So if any of you have a resistance to putting yourself out there, keep that distinction in mind. Is that when you fall in love with producing content, oh my gosh, this business can become so much fun, so fulfilling, and you really become a lot more successful. When I used to resist the content piece, I felt invisible. I knew I was a great coach, but no one knew that I existed. And it's not until you kind of shift that mindset to put yourself out there and really dedicate yourself to teaching, communicating clearly, and adding as much value as possible. And that's when you can really scale and have the biggest impact. So. For those of you that joined late, Annette, absolutely, you'll get the recording after all the we get it edited and get it set up. You'll probably get an email tomorrow with the recording of it. Okay. All right. Again, team, if you want to, thank you, Jason, for sharing the link. Feel free to book a call with us, earn100kcoaching.com. And Jason, thank you for the invitation to teach today with our group here. And for any of you that want help, feel free to reach out. I want to see every single one of you make the impact and the income you desire and you deserve in this coaching business. All right, team. Have a good day.